Hello, I'm Senate Minority Leader Eric Kearney. Welcome to Ohio in Focus.
Thanks for joining us for Ohio in Focus, the program that brings state government to you. I'm your host, Mike Rao. Today, our guest is Senate Minority Leader Eric Kearney of Cincinnati. He's here to bring us up to date on what's been a busy few weeks in the General Assembly. Senator, welcome back.
Thank you very much, Mike. I appreciate it.
Let's start off with the pension bills that recently passed the Ohio Senate. You were very instrumental in working on those along with President Niehaus. For people who haven't really been following the details, what exactly would these bills do?
Well, first of all, let me say that it was a pleasure to work with President Niehaus, and this is an example of bipartisanship at work. The bills stabilized the pension funds for state employees in certain areas. So the State Teachers Fund, OPERS, which are the state employees, like, for instance, my job, and 3 other pension funds for 5 total. And so by stabilizing them, taking the recommendations of the boards of the pension funds and mixing those with the interest of the stakeholders, we were able to come up with 5 bills that passed the Senate overwhelmingly.
And these are bills, and this is an issue that's been kind of kicked around in the General Assembly for a few years now, but yet nothing was done. And as you mentioned, it was costing the funds money. Why didn't anything get done?
You know, I'm not sure why it didn't happen, but one thing that President Niehaus and I realized is that these funds collectively are losing $2 million a day. So they're losing their buying power, which is jeopardizing the funds. They have to have a 30-year reserve of money to pay their liabilities for 30 years in the future. And they also offer health care benefits for these retired workers. So if we jeopardize the financial stability of these funds by not acting, we're taking a risk with people's lives, people's health care, and people's pension funds. So my view is, and I think this is one that the President of the Senate shares, is that we need to act now, and the House needs to act now as well.
I was going to ask you about that. It passed the Senate.
Yes, it did.
Now it's over in the House, but they seem to be wanting to just wait for a while.
Yeah, and I think that's the wrong course because of the information that I mentioned earlier about the stability of these funds, all 5 of these funds. I mean, the state troopers, police and fire, they all need to have their pension funds passed so that we can move forward. I don't understand why the House would wait on such an important issue.
Mm-hmm. So if you were to speak to the Speaker,
if I were to talk to the Speaker, pass this bill now, these bills now, all 5 of them.
Another issue that was dealt with in the Senate recently is what's called the energy bill. This is dealing with oil and gas drilling, the fracking issue, which has become so big in eastern Ohio. Your thoughts on the bill, first of all, just in general?
Well, I thought that there was enough in the bill for me to support the bill. There are some members of our caucus who did not support the bill, and they cited concerns about understanding the fracking fluid, having an understanding of earthquake concerns. Also, there were environmental concerns. So overall, I thought that the bill was good because of my optimistic outlook or hope that will bring jobs to the state of Ohio. That doesn't mean that I'm not mindful of the concerns of some members of our Democratic caucus who suggested that there are environmental issues there.
Well, the 2 issues that you touched on, one was full disclosure of what's going on in the ground with the fracking fluid. Mm-hmm. If we were given an opportunity to go and make some even more changes, is that something that you would consider?
Yes, I think that that's a reasonable request. Other states have done that as well, so that's not out of bounds. And the industry, from my perspective, has been open to various concerns that the state of Ohio has brought forward. I think we could have pushed a little bit more and gotten those concerns addressed.
And the other one would be the funding for the Geological Survey, which does the earthquake monitoring in Ohio, which is a huge issue in Youngstown earlier when they had a series of earthquakes from a deep well injection well.
Right.
That's something that you'd be open to?
Oh, certainly. I mean, that seems only prudent that if we had an earthquake, which we did, let's find out what happened there. We've got the expertise. We've got these geologists who are experts in this area. Let's find out about it and devote some of our resources to getting an answer to those questions.
Also recently in the Senate, Senators Turner and Tavares introduced a bill dealing with wage discrimination. It's Senate Bill 349. Statistics show on a national basis where women make about 77 cents to every dollar that a man makes, and this bill would address this. And you've already spoken out in support of this.
Yes, I'm in support of this bill. I think Senator Turner and Senator Tavares have done a great job in working on this bill and addressing this vital concern. Also, Senator Caprica Faro is also a co-sponsor of this bill, and she's worked on this issue as well. It's just a matter of plain fairness, and it's something Ohio needs to step forward and do.
And this is also something that's now on the federal level, too. They're trying to get it passed in Congress.
Right. President Obama has a bill that's similar to the FAIR bill that Senator Turner and Tavares have put forward.
One clause or part of this bill would also deal with making sure there's not wage discrimination based on sexual orientation, and that's something a little bit new, or maybe people don't know about.
Well, that is an aspect of the bill. What we're trying for is equality or fairness in the wage scale, and so this bill is one way to bring that point out and to have discussions about it. It's been far too long for us to ignore this issue, and I compliment Senators Turner and Tavares for bringing the issue forward.
And I wanted to segue into the fact that June is actually Pride Month, which brings up an issue that has been in the General Assembly for a number of years now, and that's to have some kind of legislation dealing with making sure that there isn't discrimination based on sexual orientation against gays and lesbians. Tavares and Skindle have Senate Bill 231, which would do that. Is it high time that something is done about this issue?
Right, I think it's high time. I mean, particularly in light of President Obama's statements about gay marriage, then the issue is before us. Let's talk about discrimination and civil rights. Ohio has been a pioneer in some instances in terms of civil rights, so this might be another time where Ohio can show some leadership. My thought is, let's talk about the bill, let's have discussions and hearings about it, and then if maybe we can't get it past this General Assembly, certainly there will be time in the next 2 years for us to address this issue.
It made it halfway, and the last General Assembly passed the House.
That's right.
Didn't make it through the Senate.
Right. So maybe this time we can get it passed in the Senate and then pass it over to the House and see what they'll do with it.
Okay. Wanted to wrap up today by talking about something you've done, what now, 5 or 6 years in a row?
6 years in a row.
Your annual walk to the State House. The last time you were on, we talked about the fact you were going to do the walk, over 100 miles from Cincinnati to the Ohio State House. How'd that go?
It went very well. We do the walk every year to highlight an issue about children's health and raise awareness about the issue. So this year we did fetal stroke syndrome, which was something that I was unaware of before the walk, and we also did childhood hunger, which is a theme that we've done in previous years. About 13 people made it the whole way, all 4 days, and it's approximately 107 miles, but we had over 50 people who walked some portion of it. So it was a lot of fun. We had good weather. We only had rain for one morning, and that was the Saturday morning, but other than that, it was smooth sailing.
How were you the day after?
Well, my feet were a little bit sore, but overall I was in good shape. It was great.
You think you'll do it again?
Yes, I think I've got, I think I'm going to do it every year I'm in the General Assembly, so I've got 2 more years, and so I think that I'll try it 2 more times.
Okay.
But don't quote me on that.
Okay. All right, thanks, Senator, for joining us again.
Thank you very much, Mike.
Well, you can keep up with the latest news on Senator Kearney and the Ohio Senate Democratic Caucus on Facebook and at ohiosenatedems.blogspot.com. Thanks for watching Ohio in Focus.